Welcome back, guys. This is another video, better than my last video. Sorry, my last video got too personal. It was about me, but I have to let you guys know what's going on. You know what I mean? If you guys are my friends and everything, friends have to know what's going on. But this one is about Amy Winehouse. Some new things about her that they said we didn't know, or something. Joe Rogan is actually put this out, but we're about to see what's going on and stay with me, guys. We got some good stuff. So, let's start with
Grammy Award-winning singer
Singer
Amy
Amy
Winehouse has
Winehouse has
died at her
died at her
home in
home
North.
in North.
The Brit and Grammy Award-winning singer Amy
Amy
Winehouse has
Winehouse has
died at her
died at her
home
home.
in North London. The 27-year-old had struggled with drink and drug problems for a number of years and recently finished a rehab course.
It's July 23rd, 2011, and the world goes into shock due to breaking news. Amy Winehouse has left her mark and passed into the great beyond.
Winehouse had struggled with drug and alcohol abuse for several years. The cause of her death was not immediately clear.
The details surrounding her death have started.
You know what? Amy Winehouse, bro, she was one that I listened to when I was in school. Like, she was really good at the music. The one that really caught me was Rehab. So at first, like, we would make fun of it, like, didn't wanna go to you know what I mean? But um getting to really listen to her music and um I mean, she didn't make bad music. It was just funny. You know what I mean? She was rebelling against her dad at that time. But that's when I started listening to her. And ever since then, man, like she's been dope as H. But like when she passed, that was bad. Yeah, that was really, really, really hurtful. Like I mean, nobody wants anyone to die, especially like the people that you love or excuse me, or the people that you listen to, you know what I mean? Everyone that you grow up to. I mean, because take in mind, bro, you guys are growing the same. You know what I mean? No matter if she's 2 years older or you're 2 years older, no matter what. At that point, everyone's still growing the same. Everyone's still growing. So you get to know them, especially on MTV, being on VH1, all that stuff. Well, I don't think VH1 was out at that time, but MTV, like MTV News, all that. That's when you just stay tuned to Amy. But yes, enough rambling. But yeah, man, she's. It was sad when she passed away.
Emerging, and the truth.
Immediately clear.
The details surrounding her death have started emerging, and the truth was more ominous than the world thought. Recently, Joe Rogan shared his thoughts about the singer and her true self, and in today's video, we will be exploring the death of Amy Winehouse as they never told you before. Let's begin.
I think her dude's the one that got her all hooked on
The
shit, man.
last day.
If she wouldn't have got
After
with that
years of
dude,
very public battles with addiction, it seemed like Amy Winehouse
we'd
was
still have
finally
her.
getting her life back on track in her final months. She had gone through several stints in rehab and some scary close calls, but the 27-year-old appeared to be making real progress. Amy was clean from hard substances that had previously gripped her. She was still drinking, but those close to her said she was working hard to get sober from alcohol too. Her father Mitch said Amy was the happiest she had been in years in those final few weeks. Her best friend James told reporters that she had even managed to go 3 full weeks without drinking at one point, which was a huge milestone. Amy's doctor, who saw her the day before she died, also stated the singer seemed tipsy but calm and looking forward to the future, showing no signs she wanted to harm herself. Tragically, what seemed like a positive turning point became Amy's shocking downfall. On July 23, 2011, the iconic singer suffered an accidental alcohol poisoning that took her life. Emergency workers responded to a call about an unresponsive woman at her home in Camden, London, around 4 p.m. But officials said Amy had likely been deceased for several hours already. A call.
The
Here we're
Brit
starting
and
to go.
Grammy Award. The Brit and the 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 Brit and Grammy Award-winning singer Amy Winehouse has died at her home in North London. The 27-year-old had struggled with drink and drug problems for a number of years and recently finished a rehab course.
It's July 23rd, 2011, and the world goes into shock due to breaking news. Amy Winehouse has left her mark and passed into the great beyond.
Winehouse had struggled with drug and alcohol abuse for several years. The cause of her death was not immediately clear.
The details surrounding her death have started emerging, and the truth was more ominous than the world thought. Recently, Joe Rogan shared his thoughts about the singer and her true self, and in today's video, we will be exploring the death of Amy Winehouse as they never told you before.
You know what? No one really liked
begin.
Amy, bro, but I liked her. We liked her. Like
The
growing
last
up,
day.
I
After
listened to her.
years of very public battles with addiction, it seemed like Amy Winehouse was finally getting her life back on track in her final months. She had gone through several stints in rehab and some scary close calls, but the 27-year-old appeared to be making real progress. Amy was clean from hard substances that had previously gripped her. She was still drinking, but those close to her said she was working hard to get sober from alcohol too. Her father Mitch said Amy was the happiest she had been in years in those final few weeks. Her best friend James told reporters that she had even managed to go 3 full weeks without drinking at one point, which was a huge milestone. Amy's doctor, who saw her the day before she died, also stated the singer seemed tipsy but calm and looking forward to the future, showing no signs she wanted to harm herself. Tragically, what seemed like a positive turning point became Amy's shocking downfall. On July 23, 2011,
That's a
the
good song.
iconic singer suffered an accidental alcohol poisoning that took her life. Emergency workers responded to a call about an unresponsive woman at her home in Camden, London, around 4 p.m. But officials said Amy had likely been deceased for several hours already after binging on a lethal amount of alcohol. The coroner's report revealed that Amy's blood alcohol level was a staggering 5 times over the legal limit when she died. It was ruled as death by misadventure,
She probably didn't even
meaning
mean to do
an
that.
unintended consequence of drinking too much alcohol after a relapse in her sobriety. After the ruling,
No way.
Amy's parents Mitch and Janice gave a statement saying, "It is some relief to finally find out what happened to Amy. We understand there was alcohol in her system
She
when
was
she
pretty,
passed
bro.
away. It's likely a build-up over a number of days." The court heard
She
Amy
was
was
pretty.
battling hard to conquer her alcohol problems, and it's a source of great pain that she couldn't win in time. The ruling closed the book on one of pop culture's most tragic tales of addiction, squandered talent, and a life cut far too short. In the final tragic act, Amy joined the likes of Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, and Jim Morrison as cherished musical geniuses who all fatally succumbed to their excesses at
27.
the same young age of 27. But still, there is a hidden truth behind Amy's untimely death no one ever told you, and Joe Rogan was the man who brought it to light. But to fully understand what
Joe
happened to
Rogan,
this outstanding
He
artist,
does
we must get to know
a
the
lot
real
of
her.
history and digging and stuff.
So who
He
was
knows
Amy
his shit.
Winehouse?
Joe Rogan.
Early
Hell yeah,
life.
bro.
Amy Winehouse was born on September 14, 1983, in Southgate, North London. Her parents,
Wow, this
Mitch
is
and Janice, divorced when she was just 9 years old, which had a big impact on young Amy. She lived primarily with her mom, a pharmacist, while her dad, who worked as a cab driver, kept a presence in her life. Growing up, Amy was surrounded by music. Many of her uncles on her mom's side were jazz musicians, and Amy developed an early love for jazz legends like Dinah Washington, Sarah Vaughan, and Ella Fitzgerald. She received her first guitar at age 13, and soon after started writing her own music. Her grandmother Cynthia was also a singer, and Amy idolized her. As a teenager, Amy attended the Sylvia Young Theatre School, but her rebellious streak, as Joe Rogan, who later talked about her death in a way that rarely takes the spotlight, likes to say, started to show. At 14, she got her first tattoo, and her bold personality often clashed with the strict rules at school. She was eventually expelled at age 16 for,
13?
quote-unquote, not applying herself and piercing her nose. After leaving school, Amy held various jobs, including working as an entertainment journalist for the World Entertainment News Network. It was around this time that Amy started to develop her distinct, retro-inspired style that would later become iconic. The big beehive hairdo, winged eyeliner, and old-school tattoos. It was a look completely her own. She was also developing her unique musical style that blended
That's
elements of
crazy.
jazz,
She made her own
soul,
look.
and
Ain't that some
R&B. In 2001, at age 18, she formed her first band, which performed at local pubs in London. Amy's early demos started garnering attention in the industry, and in 2002, she signed her first record deal. She worked on her debut album, Frank, over the next year, and really started honing her songwriting talents. The
Dude, the
songs
one that
chronicled
put her
her
to
life
stardom
experiences
was
with
Back to
raw
Black.
honesty and showcased her powerful,
But even
soulful vocals.
her recent music
When the
was
album was released in
badass.
2003, it made Amy a rising star in Britain at just 20 years old. But while her career was taking off,
7
Amy's
years later,
personal
dude, she'd be
demons were
dead.
starting to show as
You
well.
believe that? 7 years later.
She started drinking heavily, smoking pot, and later began using heavier substances.
Nothing wrong with smoking pot.
Many of the same characteristics that made her a
Pot.
unique artist, her deep emotions, rebelliousness, and impulsivity, also fed into her substance abuse issues. These problems would sadly foreshadow the difficulties she faced later in life. Still, looking back at Amy's early years, it's clear that her prodigious musical talents and unique personality were present from a young age. Her family and friends remember a vivacious, witty girl who was at once both old-fashioned and ahead of her time. She was deeply shaped by the music she grew up around, and in many ways, Amy was destined to be a star, with all the rewards and perils that entailed. Even as a teen, she was already well on her way to becoming the iconic artist we remember today. A cry for help. Amy's debut album, Frank, arrived in 2003 to critical acclaim and cult success in the UK. Recorded when she was just 18 and 19 years old, the jazz and soul-infused songs showcased Amy's wise beyond her years lyricism and powerful, sultry vocals. Songs like Stronger Than Me and Take the Box demonstrated her
Stronger
raw,
Than Me, that's a
autobiographical
good
songwriting
song.
chops, while covers of jazz standards
Bro, I like
exhibited
that
her
song.
deep
Stronger Than Me.
musical knowledge.
And the Fuck Me Pumps. Ooh, I love that
If you're
song too,
considering
man.
applying for
Fuck Me
disability
Pumps,
benefits,
man.
we can help. Many of us have helped.
Inspiration from icons like Sarah Vaughan, while still sounding vibrantly fresh and modern. With its smooth production and sophisticated arrangements by Salam Remy, Frank established Amy as a unique new voice with an intuitive grasp of classic 60s soul and jazz. Though not an immediate commercial success, the album would be an influential cult favorite and laid the groundwork for Amy's eventual stardom. It was 2006's Back to Black that made Amy Winehouse a global superstar and ushered in a revival of 60s soul/R&B inspired music. Years after her death, Joe Rogan said what many have thought. The album was both a make-or-break moment and a brutal emotional purging for the singer as she drew from her tumultuous relationship with Blake Fielder Civel. Amy's heavy touring schedule supporting Frank also led to hard partying and the increasing use of illegal substances and alcohol as coping mechanisms. Combining classic influences like the Ronettes and the girl groups with harsh, brutally honest confessional lyricism, Back to Black was a smash hit right out of the gate. The opening track, Rehab,
That's a
about
badass song.
Amy's initial resistance to treatment for addiction, became an international #1 hit,
The
powered
album.
by that signature retro sound and Amy's distinctively raspy vocals. In this song, you could see the part of Amy she would never be able to simply talk about. It set the tone for an album steeped in emotional rawness, yet impeccably crafted. Songs like You Know I'm No Good and Wake Up Alone chronicled heartbreak and self-loathing through Amy's searing, darkly funny songwriting. Love is a Losing Game and Tears Dry on Their Own, on the other hand, were wrenching ballads about her tangled relationship with the wayward Fielder Civel. But we will get to their
That's
messed
a
up
good song
relationship a
too.
bit later.
See, she
Anyhow,
has so many
the
good
album struck
songs,
a
man.
chord, transforming Amy from a cult act to a mainstream star who still felt bracingly real and
Man,
subversive.
I don't really think she meant
There was an alluring yet cautionary
to drink
realness to
that
Back
much.
to
If she
Black
knew she was gonna
that drew
die
people
like
in.
that, like, you
She
know what I
was an
mean?
artist appearing to
I don't
unschool
think she would have
emotionally
fucking.
and detail her
I don't
own
know. I think it was an
self-destruction
accident.
in the most poetically raw yet timeless of
I think her death
terms.
was an accident.
Produced masterfully by
I
Mark
think I didn't.
Ronson,
I don't
with
think that she knew
contributions
what
from
she was
members of
doing. You know
Brooklyn's
what I mean?
revered soul-funk outfit, the Dap Kings, the album's sound was an ingenious modern amalgamation of classic soul, R&B, doo-wop, and even a bit of reggae.
Doo-wop.
Still, Amy's
I
distinctively
listened to that
gritty
when I
yet
was a kid.
versatile vocals were the binding alchemy. Back to Black was a colossal success, selling over 16 million copies globally and winning 5 Grammys, including Song, Record, and Album of the Year. It transformed Amy from a jazz cult act to a global phenomenon who ushered in a revival of nostalgic R&B sounds in mainstream music. But she had also birthed a modern confessional masterpiece exploring themes of toxic relationships, the self-destructive impulses of addiction, and the harsh truths behind surface-level glamour. These are the things no one wants to talk about, but many suffer from. The album's massive success was both a triumph and a tragedy for the fragile artist. Even as she was achieving her wildest dreams, she was also publicly coming undone, descending deeper into the addictions and personal demons laid bare in the music itself. Her fortunes and fame were skyrocketing, but so too was the relentless glare of the paparazzi spotlight and the cycle of substance abuse chronicled by songs like Rehab. Darkness sets in. What had once been characterized as the singer's edgy, insouciant style was now being portrayed as deeply troubled behavior. Her pencil-thin frame made headlines as publications
And she
openly
didn't even look like she was on
body-shamed her
drug right there.
alarmingly low weight. The endless documentation of her erratic public escapades by paparazzi contributed to increasing speculation about her alcohol and substance abuse. Photographs of Amy looking blasted while stumbling out of clubs became a grim, reoccurring paparazzi ritual. The harsh lenses turned her admitted, self-destructive impulses into a public spectacle, but still somehow managed to never say what was really going on. It became hard to separate the reality from the caricature being painted. Even as fans celebrated her raw authenticity, columnists gleefully depicted her as the latest hot mess getting her kicks. The salacious depictions of her personal life stood in stark contrast to her tremendous artistic
She's cute,
achievements
man.
and Grammy success. In truth, while always playfully provocative, Amy's vices were rapidly accelerating into full-blown addictions. Her use of synthetic substances and alcohol was spinning out of control, making fuel for an internal tailspin that was becoming increasingly public. In October 2007, her celebrated tumultuous 2-year marriage to Blake Fielder Civel hit a new nadir at a hotel in London. After getting into a reported blood-spattered brawl, authorities found Amy and Blake in possession of Class A substances and arrested them. Though Blake took the fall, it was a symbolic implosion moment. Just as Amy's celebrity had reached dizzying heights, so too had the sordid underbelly of her toxic relationship with the allegedly abusive Blake. The couple's romance had begun with a drunken courtship in 2005 as she recorded Back to Black. The lyrical rawness of the album gave listeners a searing window into the passion and dysfunction of their intense bond. As Blake joined Amy on tour, Both of their addictions fueled explosive fights and breakups that left them repeatedly getting back together in a cycle of codependency. Her camp saw him as a corrosive influence, enabling her most self-destructive impulses. This is exactly what Joe Rogan pointed out, but we will get back to that shortly, because after the 2007 bust, Amy spiraled further, famously punching a fan and getting arrested for assault. Both of their addictions fueled explosive fights and breakups that left them repeatedly getting back together in a cycle of codependency.